Well, that seemed like a really long night. I couldn't get comfortable on this ground, but it happens. I think I'm just gonna pack up and we'll get out of here. It's about 6 o'clock right now. My favorite part about coming out here is seeing these areas at these times of the day, because you never see these mountains with the sun rising behind them unless you camp here and you get up early. It looks so awesome. These landscapes can look totally different if the sun is in a different position. It's so cool. Well, nothing weird happened last night, but I did get pretty annoyed with cars driving by on this road. That was happening until about 11 o'clock. Not a bad place to camp, really, but I prefer not to be next to a road that's traveled like this. Alright, I really need some new camping gear. I think it's time I get a new tent. Probably a new sleeping bag just to switch it up. Stuff's expensive though. I originally bought that tent and sleeping bag with credit card points. I had acquired a bunch from traveling for work, and I think I had like $400 worth of credit card points. And I got that tent and sleeping bag specifically to do this. More or less. I think I had backpacking in mind, but I also had this in mind. Should probably get this bike started, huh? Well, the drift just failed me. Thank God I wasn't vlogging anything, but it turned it on and then it turned itself off. But yeah, it just turned itself off. It does that sometimes. Like 1 out of every 50 clips, it'll just fail on. And to this day, I have not really ever lost an important file that I really couldn't do without. And today was no different. I turned the thing on and I was messing around with the mic, and then I noticed the camera was not rolling anymore. I had to pull the battery out to unfreeze it. Other than that, I love this camera though. I think Drift is a lot more convenient to use than GoPro. especially because it has a 3.5 millimeter jack. Okay, let's get moving. That's down. This is okay. This is stable. That's stable. How's chain slack? Okay. Oh God. Cramp in my hip. Goodbye, campsite. Alright, so I don't really have a good topic for today, but I did want to give a tire update because my tires are pretty bald, and a while ago I was talking about doing a video where I changed them, and it hasn't happened, mainly because I just haven't been riding this bike enough. But I've got brand new tires sitting on a shelf in my garage, and so I think I'm going to have to get that done pretty soon, because it's silly to come out here riding on tires that I feel are old and need to be replaced if I've got brand new ones sitting around. It's not even a money issue, it's just a laziness issue. But I want to just kind of give an update on the tires I'm currently using, which are Honda K60 Scouts. I had these mounted, I believe, at 11,000 miles. The bike currently has almost 19,000 miles on it. By the time I get home, it'll be over 19,000. So that's 8,000 miles on this one set of tires, and honestly, if I was commuting, I wouldn't even probably say they needed to be changed. The front tire actually looks fine, honestly. It's the back tire that's got, reduced tread depth, and that, I guess, could affect me out here if I'm driving through sand or something, and I don't know. Sometimes it feels like a stability issue, but I think it's just in my head because I don't really ride enough. But yeah, this is, for $300, that's approximately what I recall paying for these, because I barely remember now. That's a lot of miles for your money. And I think people who are getting into dual sports probably don't understand what kind of tires they need. And I know I didn't. So when I got my first XR650L, I got Dunlop 606s, which are really aggressive tires, but it's just big blocky tread, and it's spaced close enough that it's DOT legal, so you can drive it on the street. The problem is the rubber is so soft that the thing is wore out in under 4,000 miles, and I was pretty upset about that because they cost the same as these Honda K60 Scout tires, and it turns out I wasn't doing any of the kind of riding that really would have required those knobby tires. Most of the riding I do is on roads like this. And if I do a more difficult trail, like, these tires are fine. Like, it's not, I don't know, I'm not driving through mud and sand or anything like that, and I'm not really riding really hard. So, like, unless if you plan to ride your XR like a dirt bike and do single track and go up hills and do all that stuff, a proper dirt tire is probably what you want. Like the 606, because to me that's a proper dirt tire. They just let you drive it on the street. But it's, other than that, it's kind of a waste of money, because I can't be spending that kind of money every 3,000 miles. It's like every oil change you need tires. Like, come on, man, who the hell does that? So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. But I was thinking, I don't think I really want to do it myself anymore. And I know people are going to shit on me for that, but I was looking at my wheels, and I remembered I had the guys at the shop balance these wheels, because I do a lot of highway, and I was like, if I put tires on these wheels, I'm still going to have to bring them in and have them balanced. If I wanted, I guess I probably don't need to have them balanced, but what if I put the wheels back on, I ride down the highway, and I find that there's a shake because the wheels are not balanced anymore? Like, it would be a lot easier for me to just take them in, and I kind of feel like I'm copping out a little, because I know I need to learn how to do it, and I guess I'm kind of just being lazy. But the other end of this is I bought the wrong jack for this motorcycle a long time ago, I had some AdSense money, and I thought I'll spend it on a motorcycle jack, and I could do maintenance easier. Well, the one that I got, I think is meant for a lower motorcycle, something that's lower to the ground, like a Harley. Because all the videos show people using it on a Harley, and when I put it under my bike, I had to almost fully extend it for it to even reach my skid plate. And on top of that, its base is not very big. It's like I almost want to say it's a little bit bigger than the skid plate. And actually lifting this bike on something that small seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Like I cannot picture this thing being stable on a platform like that. And so when I was trying to jack it up the first time, I just quit. I was like, this is not going to happen. I'm going to drop this motorcycle from a foot in the air, and I'm going to be pissed at myself. So that little jack has just been sitting under my workbench, and the only thing I've ever really used it for is a stool. Sometimes I use it to sit on when I'm working on the motorcycle, but other than that, as far as I'm concerned, it's just useless. So if you have a recommendation for a proper motorcycle jack, that would be nice. I don't want to spend a ton of freaking money to lift this motorcycle up. I don't think that should be necessary. It's just, in the past when I've pulled the wheels off of this, I just lay it down on the floor in the garage. Like I hold the brake and I walk it down and gently lay it down. And it feels ridiculous when I do that, but that's the only way I can get the wheels off. I mean, I got like a dirt bike stand and wrestle this thing onto a dirt bike stand, but I don't know. I just need someone who knows what they're doing to help me out a little bit with that. So that's the other reason I just kind of don't really want to get into the tire changing. I know I could probably pull it off. I just wish I had like a little dirt bike or something that didn't need wheel balancing. It would never be on the road, and I could experiment with that. That would probably be better. Oh, but I started reading that book last night, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. And it's not a book that's really about motorcycle maintenance, from what I understand. It's more about philosophy. I've never written a philosophy book in my life. But one of the early concepts he's talking about in that book is like learning how to maintain your motorcycle. And he's talking about his buddy in the book who just refuses to learn anything about maintenance, and he always brings his motorcycle in, and it's causing him problems on the road because he doesn't understand how to use simple parts of the bike, like the choke, and he's just following instructions, and he's ended up flooding his engine a little bit and things like that. And this morning I was thinking about this tire topic, and I thought, I'm not quite that guy, because I do all of my own maintenance, really. But it's just this one thing I just don't really feel like I just don't really want to do it. Primarily because I want these wheels properly balanced so I can do 80 miles an hour if I have to. So yeah, on the topic of that book, so far I'm enjoying it. It's not as hard to read as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be like super deep philosophy talk nonstop, but it's not. It's you can follow it, and it was good. I'm happy with it. Excited to keep reading it. But the guy brought up a couple of interesting points about riding motorcycles that I never really thought too much about before. And one of them was that every motorcycle, even if it's the same exact make and model, has its own feel to it. And the way he put it was like they settle into their own, they kind of settle into their own groove. I don't think that's exactly what he said, but it's the gist of it. And I remember when I got this bike, this wasn't my first XR650L. I got one before this, and I enjoyed it, and it got stolen and totaled, and so I replaced it with this, and this bike never felt the same. It never felt quite like that other one, and honestly, I think the other one felt better. I always thought the throttle response on that motorcycle was better. I felt like it had more power, and it just felt like it was ready to, it wanted to party. That's the way it felt like. It just really wanted to party, and this one has never really given me that feeling. But this one's become a different sort of machine. I don't rip on it and ride it that hard, so. The other thing he brings up is something I guess I've always known, but I've never really put that into words before, is that when you're in a car, you're separated from the world, and your cockpit of the vehicle kind of acts like a border to what you're seeing outside, and you're not really a part of your environment. You're just sort of spectating it. Sorry, the sun is in my eyes and I really can't see anything. But when you're on a motorcycle, you're in the environment, you're a part of it, and you're experiencing it in every way possible. You're experiencing the smells and the temperatures. You're experiencing anything that's in the air, the dust, the bugs. You're a part of it, and that kind of forces you to think about it. It forces you to focus on it because you don't have anyone to talk to. You just ride and you think, and it ends up inadvertently just allowing a lot of like introspection, and allows you to just do a lot of thinking. And it's like the book is written in a way that like he's on a trip, but you're also in his head. And so you're hearing all of his thoughts as he rides, and it's like, yeah, I get that. Because it gives you a lot of time to ponder stuff when you're on the road for a long time. Because you don't have radio, you don't have a guest, you don't have a person to talk to. So, kind of a cool thing to think about. Which again, I guess I've always known that, I've just never put it in that context before, because like riding in a car for 2 hours is always a pain in the ass. You get bored and you want to be there, but when you're on a motorcycle, 2 hours goes by pretty fast because you're not looking at a clock, and you're not focused on the time that's passing by slowly. You're just focused on riding, and you're occupied by the stuff that you're experiencing, like smells and temperatures and all that, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, that's it for this. Remember to check out the store for t-shirts and mixture screws. I'm going to be working on one for the DR650. And if you want to see more of these videos, remember to click that bell icon at the bottom of the video, and you will be notified when I upload, which should be once a month going forward. So, thanks everybody.